Approximately 1,000 US soldiers with Army's 82nd Airborne Division are expected to deploy in coming days in West Asia. This is according to reports, adding to the growing military firepower in the region as the Trump administration says it is in talks with Iran to end the conflict. Hello and welcome. You're watching Deep Dive by NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The unit is considered the Army's emergency response force and can typically be deployed on short notice. The force would reportedly include a battalion of 1st Brigade Combat Team as well as Major General Brandon Tegmeyer, the division's commander and division staff. The initial elements of the division staff and battalion are expected to begin deploying within a week, and other elements within the brigade are also expecting to deploy at a later date, though those expectations could change as the situation develops. It's the latest addition of American troops to the Iran war effort after US officials recently said that thousands of Marines aboard several Navy ships will be heading to the region. While the Marine units are trained in missions that include supporting US embassies, evacuating civilians and disaster relief, the soldiers of the 82nd Airborne, based at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, are trained to parachute into hostile or contested territory to secure key territory and airfields. The brigade will be the ready unit in West Asia, prepared to be called upon if needed, as per source. The 82nd Airborne Division made a similar movement in 2020 after the killing of the Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. The IRF is a brigade that is ready to move with limited notice, acting as a rapid response force able to deploy within hours when called upon. The designation of the IRF rotates between teams in Army Brigade. Remember, the US President Donald Trump said that the US and Iran had reached 15 points of agreement in conversations to end the conflict and that Iran would very much like to make a deal. Iran previously denied there was any dialogue happening with the US. Still, amidst the talks, thousands more US forces are coming to the region in addition to the 82nd Airborne. Two Marine expeditionary units and amphibious ready groups have also recently deployed to the region, bringing significant firepower and military options. The ARGMUs come with roughly 4,500 Marines and sailors each and bring a range of capabilities outside of the on-the-ground support, including substantial aviation and logistics components. Officials have stressed that the move does not confirm a decision to send ground forces into Iran, but it significantly expands Washington's ability to respond at short notice. The 82nd Airborne is not a routine unit shuffled between bases. It is a force built for urgency. When it moves, it reflects preparation, not posture. At the center of this development is a division that has spent decades defining what rapid military response looks like. From parachuting into hostile territory during the Second World War to leading early operations in modern conflicts, the 82nd Airborne has built a reputation as the unit that arrives first, often before the situation on the ground is fully understood. Its deployment is as much about capability as it is about signaling readiness. So what makes the 82nd Airborne Division different? The 82nd Airborne Division occupies a unique place in the US military structure. It is a light infantry division, but one designed for global reach and immediate action. Based at Fort Liberty in North Carolina, it maintains elements on constant alert, prepared to move within hours of receiving orders. Its defining feature is its airborne capability. Soldiers are trained to parachute into areas where there are no secure landing zones, allowing them to enter environments that are otherwise inaccessible. This gives the division a critical advantage in the earliest phase of an operation when speed and surprise can determine the outcome. A brigade-sized force of roughly 3,000 troops can be deployed within about 18 hours, supported by coordinated airlift and pre-positioned equipment. This level of readiness allows the US to respond to crises without the delays typically associated with large-scale military mobilization. The division's identity is rooted in its role during World War II, particularly in the Normandy landings. In June 1944, thousands of paratroopers from the 82nd were dropped behind enemy lines in Nazi-occupied France hours before Allied forces stormed the beaches. That operation cemented the division's reputation as a force capable of operating in uncertainty, a trait that continues to define it today. In the decades that followed, the 82nd Airborne was repeatedly deployed in situations requiring rapid intervention. During the United States invasion of Grenada, it was used to stabilize conditions following the initial assault. In the Gulf War, it provided a ready force position for offensive operations. In both the war in Afghanistan and the Iraq War, the division carried out multiple deployments, including urban operations and security missions. Across these conflicts, a consistent pattern emerges. The 82nd is used when time is limited and conditions are uncertain. The strength of the 82nd Airborne lies not in heavy firepower, but in its combination of mobility, training and coordination. As a light infantry force, it does not rely on tanks or heavy armor in the initial stages of deployment. Instead, it focuses on rapid insertion, flexible maneuver and early control of key terrain. Its airborne operations allow troops to bypass traditional entry points and move directly into strategic areas. This capability is particularly important in securing infrastructure such as airfields, transport corridors and communication hubs. Once these are under control, heavier forces can follow. Division soldiers are equipped with standard infantry weapons, anti-armor systems and portable communications gear, supported when necessary by light artillery and aviation units. What distinguishes them is not the equipment itself, but how it is used in fast-moving, high-pressure environments where decisions must be made quickly. Paratroopers are prepared to operate with limited support, adapt to unfamiliar terrain, and coordinate with air and intelligence assets. Their role often involves stabilizing a situation long enough for broader operations to take shape. The 82nd Airborne Division's role is defined by timing. It is not designed to sustain long, heavy campaigns on its own, but to act at the critical moment when action is first required. Its purpose is to enter quickly, secure key objectives and create the conditions for broader operations. This makes it one of the most strategically valuable units in the US military. Its presence signals readiness, its movement reflects intent, and its capabilities provide flexibility in uncertain situations. All right, let's bring in our panelists to talk more about this paratroopers that are going to be deployed very soon in the Gulf in the war against Iran by the United States of America, a decision that has been made by US President Donald Trump. Major General A.K. Sivach, he's a senior defense expert, is on the telecast with me. General Sivach, let's shed more light into the previous deployments of the 82nd Division of the paratroopers and what has been their intent and the execution that they have done right from World War II up until now against Iran.
You know, the point is why you need a 82nd Paratrooper Air Division. You know, the basic thing is that when you need a troops which can be para-dropped behind the enemy lines, they operate and they surprise the enemy. They change the defensive the other way around. They go behind the enemy line and they are self-contained. They are very light. They are got all weapons like including anti-tank weapons, small arms weapons. They have mines. They can carry out the raid. And thereafter, in the later stage, they will have a link up which will be done by either infantry or by the further air power itself. Now, why is the US trying to bring 82nd Airborne Division, and it is also bringing a Marine Brigade? Now, these two things they possibly require to capture Kharg. In case US decide that they need to occupy and capture Kharg Island, then they will need both of this. One is amphibious brigade to launch an amphibious operation on the Kharg Island, and the second is Airborne Assault Division, which will go behind the enemy line, take control of that, and thereafter amphibious brigade will launch an attack basically on the island, and then they will link up and then they will take over the complete island. Now, this is the strategy which they are going to adopt as far as US is concerned. How far it is going to be successful, that is the case in point. Now, there are certain challenges in this. What is these challenges? That one is that Kharg Island is very close to the mainland of Iran. It is about 20 kilometers from there. It comes in the RT range. It also their missile, rocket and drones will also fire. So you may occupy that, but will you able to sustain for long? Because you will be then fired upon from the mainland of Iran on this island. That's a very important thing. That is the biggest challenge what the US facing. No, to basically stabilize this, what they are trying to do is just enjoy a complete air superiority, because the air power of US is far stronger than as far as the Iran is concerned. They have already neutralized their air defense system. So if they have an air power, and if they neutralize the air defense system, they can sustain for long. They build up them, and therefore thereafter they can open this state of war.
What do you think is the intent of America? Is it to de-escalate the war, or is it to further increase tensions in a bid to annihilate Iran? Because we saw in the past few days, in fact a month ago, there were negotiations that were happening. US President Donald Trump kept on saying that he is in talks with the Iranian leadership, while he had parked the USS Abraham Lincoln and other frigates in the Gulf and alerted the troops, the bases all across Gulf in an all-out attack against Iran.
You know, Mega very correctly asked, because until unless you do not have options, the enemy will always feel that you are weak. You can't do, if you are dictating terms and you have only one option, he knows it what you are going to do. But once you have multiple options, you know it that ultimately there are air assault division which come, 2 aircraft carrier has already come, that is your USS Abraham Lincoln and also Gerald Ford, and then you are also having 2 destroyers which are basically bringing amphibious brigade, that is USS Tripoli and USS Boxer. That gives an option. It means it put tremendous pressure on Iran. Should you not negotiate, the US has a possibility of launching an air assault division and will capture Khark. So that is basically to increase the option and put a pressure on your adversary. This is the way the war goes on. Everything what you take it in war, you do not utilize. You know, you buy peace with strength. So I suppose the US is trying to do that. I don't think Donald Trump will try to now commit troops on ground, because he knows that in case he doesn't, there will be body bags which will be going back. It is a very difficult operation. It has got a casualty rate of almost 5 to 10%. Will Donald Trump prepare for such type of casualty? That's a question mark. However, whatever they are building up, the US, it is trying to put pressure on Iran to negotiate.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you very much, General A.K. Siwaj, for joining me, sharing your views. We'll take a short break, come right back on NewsX.